There's no band on earth that's better at infusing memorable rock tunes with insane prog technicality than Canada's very own Rush. On today's video, we're going to take a look under the hood at one of their greatest tunes. Hey kids, it's your good buddy, Uncle Ben. Over my many years as a guitar teacher and touring musician, I've learned thousands of songs, and they've all taught me something that stuck with me and helped me along the way. Mastering tunes makes us better players, and that's why every guitarist should learn Limelight by Rush. Well, hey there kids, it's your old pal, Uncle Ben. So this kind of blows my mind because I've been a massive fan of Rush for like 20-something years, and I've been doing these YouTube videos for you guys for well over a decade, and somehow this is the first Rush video I've ever done on my channel. What the f***, right? This is crazy to me because I've learned so much about music through learning and listening to Rush songs. There's no better way to learn how to understand things like odd time signatures, crazy song structures, and all that than learning material that uses those principles. And I know for myself, I've learned so much about those highfalutin musical concepts by learning songs by Geddy, Alex, and Neil. Today we're going to be talking about Limelight, which of course is part of the Moving Pictures album, one of the best records ever made. This is one of the biggest hits the band ever had, and with great reason. It has all those signature Rush complexities while still remaining super catchy, memorable, and singable to the average listener. And of course the song is also covered in tons of those signature Alex Lifeson isms, like those awesome chord choices, an amazing solo, and so much more. In today's video, we're going to dive deep into this song and talk about everything we can learn from it, but you're going to learn even more better if you check out the super extended and ad-free cut of this video that's available only on my Patreon page, patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. People are saying it might be the reason the internet was invented, and I'm just repeating what they're saying. But you can be the judge after you sign up today, even for as little as $1 a month. That's going to get you access to that super extended cut of this video, as well as hundreds of other exclusive goodies. So don't delay, sign up today over at patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. I'll see you there. Gear-wise for today's video, I'm going to be playing my beloved Ernie Ball Luke III and that stunning Firemest Purple Sparkle. I love this guitar, I've been playing it a ton lately. Amp-wise, I'm going to be playing that Bad Larry through this Carstens Amplification EMPIRE. They just sent me this amp to check out and I'm blown away. It's kind of their answer to like a modern ultra high gain amp, which might seem like a weird choice for a Rush song, but it's incredibly versatile, and with the gain down and boosted with this kind of Klon style All Pedal Alcmene that I have out in front, it gives me a pretty mean tone. It's not necessarily exactly like the album tone or anything, it's definitely more modern sounding, but it's just such a freaking awesome amp, I had to use it today. And I've got all that cool stuff running through the UA aux, as always. That's also what's contributing the subtle flange sound that you're hearing in there. That's part of the delay settings on the aux. I find it really does a good job of capturing that old school rack mount flanger sound. Now, let's get into it. Okay, the song kicks off with that iconic main riff and a deceptive downbeat. Let's check it out. So this riff is based around the B Mixolydian scale. I point this out because later on in the tune, like in the chorus, it goes to a more B major scale kind of tonality. Talk about that when we get there. Now, one thing you got to understand about this riff is where it starts, because for the longest time, I thought that second note was beat number 1. Like the low E note was just a pickup, you know? A 1, 2, 3, like that. In reality, the B power chord that he hits is beat number 1. And what you hear as kind of the pickup here is coming in on the upbeat of 2. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1. That puts you landing squarely on that B chord on beat number 1. Now it's interesting because the song kicks off with that riff in 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty straight stuff. But whenever the whole band kicks in, it changes to a 7/4 feel, where every measure is going to be made up of 7 beats. It's such an awesome riff, and there's a lot you can pick up from this. Let's get that count going on first here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. I love 7/4 because it has that slightly off-kilter feel to it, you know, just kind of lopsided feel in measures. Rush uses it all the time, and that's a perfect riff to learn how to play in 7. Let's check out the chord voicings that Alex is using here. He's got just a regular B power chord with this B note on top. After this, he changes to this chord. This is an A sus2. Sometimes people call these like add 9 chords, but they're not really, because to be an add 9, it has to have a third, and this chord is just root and fifth like a power chord, and then that added suspended second on top in place of a third. The other cool thing about this is it retains that B note on top. So you got that kind of carrying over between those two chords. That's also true when he goes to the E5 here, keeping that B note on top. So the distorted guitar sound is on the left side of the mix, and on the right side there's an overdub of a clean, sounds like a Strat, doing some arpeggiation to add even more clarity to those chords. Sounds something like this. It really adds a lot of clarity to those chords over that mushy, fat, distorted sound that Alex is using. I love this trick. I use it all the time in recording parts that just need a little bit more dimension and a chord voicing, you know? It's a great trick you can do in the studio. Rush was amazing at choosing smart overdubs on all this material. So we've already gone from 4/4 for the intro, 7/4 once the whole band kicks in, and then when it gets to the verse, you'd think it would get like maybe a little bit more simple so everybody can sing along, but they do the exact opposite of that. It gets way more complicated during the verse. This is the amazing thing about Rush. You don't even really notice that it's got all these different time signatures flying by. Check this out. So time signature wise, I had to write this down. To me, it feels like it's going from 2 measures of 3/4, 2 measures of 6/4, 2 measures of 3/4, and then a measure of 4/4. That is a whole lot going on for a verse. And then every other time, before it goes to the chorus part, it does a measure of 7. It's really all over the place. Let's see if I can count it. Probably not. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's crazy stuff, but you wouldn't notice anything odd was going on because the band just grooves so hard, you know? I like odd time signature stuff that's like that. You either have no idea that anything weird is going on, or you just feel like you're going to get seasick listening to it, like when you listen to, you know, Meshuggah or Dream Theater or something. I like when it's really hidden or really obvious. So our chords are based around this B major with an added 11th in it. Just kind of like taking your standard B major bar chord at the 7th and opening up those high strings. Just to add a little bit of jangle on top. Those open strings are something Alex does all the time in his playing. Again, he's adding width to the mix in a 3-person band, you know, adding in a lot of space in those chords. And then he's got this chord. Editing chair, Uncle Ben here. He does not use the open B string in that chord like what I played here. So just ignore that. This is kind of like a G sharp minor 11 chord. We got the root note G sharp. We have the fifth, which is our D sharp. A flat 7, which is F sharp. And then this added 11th. This chord keeps coming up through the song. I want to talk about it some more later on, but it's really interesting sounding. I love that he did this instead of just a standard power chord or maybe just a straight minor chord like a lot of guitar players would have done. This is just way more interesting sounding. And some good old meat and potato power chords there at the end. So now we get on to the chorus section of the song, which I find really interesting for a couple of different reasons. Namely, its structure, which is kind of like two choruses in one in an A-B-A pattern. Part A being the more halftime chill part with the really big, clean, arpeggiated chords and the living in the limelight, that part of the lyrics. Then you have the B part, which is the more driving, those who wish to be, that section. And then it goes back to the B section, this time instrumentally. It's a really unusual structure, but you don't really notice it until you're like learning the song and picking it apart and making a YouTube video on it. I never even considered that. It felt like two different choruses just alternating. Again, Rush is just amazing at taking unconventional things and making them extremely palatable. Let's check this out. That's what I'm calling the A part. Here's that G sharp minor 11 chord again with this little picking part on it. Then we have this cool like E Lydian sound. Now this chord right here has the A sharp note in it, which is again what differentiates the B mixolydian tonality of the intro. There's an A note from the more B major tonality that we're using now, which has the A sharp note. Kind of like one little change to the language, but it makes it way more interesting sounding just by flip-flopping those two tonalities. And again, there's that B note ringing through all three of those chords. You'll also notice that the A section of the chorus is in 3/4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. God, that's hard to do. And then when it goes to the B section, the more driving part, we do straight 4/4 to make it groove as hard as possible. I also love that this just goes to straight eighth notes on those chords. If you listen close on the right side of the mix to the clean guitars, you're also going to hear the power of a really squeaky Strat. And I don't mean like squeaky clean, I'm talking like fret buzz squeak. Give that thing a listen and you're going to notice there's like audible fret buzz going on right there, which I think is totally okay. That's part of the character of playing a fretted instrument. They're going to make noise, especially when you're playing super clean on a single coil like a Strat. Like that note's not crystal clean, but it sounds like guitar to me, you know? I have people that are all the time just going nuts trying to eliminate any hint of buzz from their guitar sound, but unless it's buzzing so much that like you're losing the pitch and the note is dead, I just consider it part of the character of the instrument. We get repeats of all those parts before we get to Alex's awesome solo that he lays down. This is one of my favorite Alex Lifeson solos. And just yesterday, I watched a really amazing interview with him on Chris Shiflett from the Foo Fighters show here on YouTube, talking about his like inspirations and why he wrote that solo the way that he did. It's an awesome interview and it's super insightful because he really put a lot of thought into it. It wasn't just about like, oh, I'm going to use this scale or these licks I've been practicing. It was really about trying to convey the feeling of the lyrics of the song and the loneliness of living in the limelight. His explanation is obviously way better than mine. Be sure to check out Chris Shiflett's episode with Alex Lifeson. Tell him Uncle Ben sent you. The solo in this is so expressive, and there's a ton we can learn from it. Let's check it out. A lot of the notes in this solo feature vibrato coming from the bar, and I love the sound of bar vibrato as opposed to finger vibrato for one specific reason. Whenever we do finger vibrato, the note can only go sharp. It's going slightly above pitch, then back down to center. But whenever you're using the bar, you can dip the bar to go flat, and you can pull it back a little bit to go sharp. Gives us a really wide and expressive, very vocal kind of sound with our vibrato. But it's worth noting how easy it is to overdo this, just like with vocal vibrato. Man, I've seen so many kids like discover that whammy bar and just go so crazy on it that I fear they're gonna grow hair on their palms or go blind or something, like this sound. That's not it. That is not the sound. Remember, if you wouldn't want to hear a singer doing it, you definitely wouldn't want to hear a distorted electric guitar doing it. Keep it subtle, keep it expressive. So right at the start of the solo, he's got that open B string ringing out with some vibrato. And then he just lightly touches it right above the 12th fret to make it sing with that harmonic. It's a really cool sound. And I love what he does right there. He takes that B harmonic all the way down. And while the string is slack, he hammers on this F sharp note and brings the bar back up, so that way it's in pitch again. Now, whenever you do that hammer on the F sharp note, you've got to be careful here, because if that B string is still ringing out, it won't sound good. Kind of sounds like a fourth. So whenever you slap that guy down, be sure to do so in such a way that the underside of your finger slightly touches that B string and mutes it out. Watch close, you might see what I'm talking about. That way all you hear is that D string. I love how loose the timing is on those slides right there. The rhythm section here is so tight and grooving so hard. I think that if Alex would have played a very metronomically rigid solo, something really in time, it would have made that whole section sound really stiff. His rhythm, his timing throughout the solo is really loose, extremely loose. I would hate to try to properly notate this. It'd be so hard. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Eddie Van Halen in a lot of ways, where a lot of times his licks don't necessarily stay on the grid, so to speak. They just kind of float. This kind of has that feeling. It's also worth noting too, and I'd never noticed this until I started making this video, there's no rhythm guitar behind the solo. At that point in the song, it drops out to just the three of them playing, no overdubs. I think this is really cool, especially when you're considering his inspiration, like I was talking about. He wanted this to sound very lonesome and lonely, you know? And it really does have that effect when it just drops out from all those glorious sounding overdubs to just the three of them jamming. Really cool effect, and somehow I'd never even noticed it. There's more of that juicy bar vibrato going on right there. Now, the next lick that we have right there. I love this because this is in the groove. It kind of shows that he's not just floating all over the place. He knows where the downbeat is at all times. And he really shows you that when he plays those straight triplet, triplet, triplets over that section. It's kind of one of the only groovy parts of the solo, but I just love how he locks in just for that one lick. Really cool phrasing too. Let me play that for you again at stepdad speed. And then we have another one of those cool bar dip licks. So you'll notice that he kind of started diving the bar on the G sharp note. and then pulls it off to the open G, which is way out of key, but it doesn't really matter. You don't really hear it as G since the note's always in motion, you know? He was dipping that G note down, and then he grabs this A sharp note while the bar is still bent, and it kind of lets the bar pull itself back into neutral position as he bends it up a half step. Really cool effect. Another floaty bend right there. And then we have this ascending alternate pick lick that he does. So it kind of sounds like he was going for this, but the last note was still kind of ringing out, so you don't really hear this first F sharp note. Hear how it kind of started on the G sharp right there? It's kind of like one of those YOLO mouse meat ascending runs, right?
I'm your new god.
That note, that high D sharp note, just sustains forever. Apparently in the studio they use like some tape loops and everything to keep that note just feeding back forever. Really cool sound, then they kind of duck it down in the mix as it goes back to the last chorus of the tune. Awesome solo, super expressive. And I think he said it was only like 4 or 5 different takes that he played in the studio that they comped together. Pretty amazing stuff. Kept the inspiration fresh, you know what I'm saying? Awesome solo. That was like super fun to learn how to play. I noticed something interesting here at the very end of the song. It concludes with that G sharp. At this point, it's a G sharp sus4 chord because we're not using the open string, so we don't have that flat third in there. The chord that we're playing here is like a bar on the 4th fret and then the 6 at the A and G strings. It gives us a sound that's root, 5th, flat 7, 11, 5th, root. So I don't know, you could say it's like a G sharp 7 sus 11 chord, but there's no third in it. It's really ambiguous sounding. And I think this is really fascinating because it's technically in place of a minor chord. He's playing this sus instead. But I find the effect of this to be really interesting because they're at the end of the song whenever Neil is going nuts on the drum fills and they're walking up from E to F sharp to G sharp. Even though the song ends on what should be a minor chord, or rather a sus chord standing in for a minor chord, it doesn't feel like a sad ending to the song. It feels like really triumphant to me. And that's the interesting thing about sus chords. They're not necessarily happy or sad sounding. They can be used in place of major or minor chords in a lot of contexts, and they're just kind of ambiguous sounding. So it's kind of like I don't know, like the Magic Eye poster of chords. When you hear this, does it sound happy and major? Or does it sound sad and minor? It's kind of like the duck rabbit picture, you know? Just depends on the eye of the beholder. But to me, whenever I hear the song end on that chord, it doesn't feel sad. It feels really triumphant. Interesting thing about this chord I want to point out too is how many dissonances there are in this chord. Check this out. So there's our chord grip, right? G sharp, F sharp. These notes are a full step apart. Not a good sound, right? Dissonant. We have D sharp and C sharp. Those notes are a whole step apart. Dissonant. Even going from C sharp to D sharp. Those notes are a whole step apart. Dissonant. Ugly, ugly, ugly. Awesome. What's up with that, right? It's kind of like you have enough wrongs to where it makes it right again. But that's the power of Alex and those sus chords that he uses all the time in his playing. They sound really wide because you have those whole step gaps in between notes. Kind of like when we played this earlier. There's A, there's B. Those notes are a step apart. It's not necessarily a pretty sound, but it does sound wide. And that's the genius thing about learning Alex's guitar parts. You learn how you can take up a lot of space even in a band where there's only one guitar. Really inspiring stuff. There's so much we can learn from Alex. I definitely want to do more Rush stuff here on the channel, so let me know down in the comments section what song you guys would like to see featured in another installment of this series. So there you go, guys, a deep dive through one of the greatest tunes in Rush's catalog. Amazing song. I can't believe it's taken me this long to do a Rush video. What is the matter with me? But either way, better late than never. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Be sure to watch the super extended ad-free cut of this video, which is available over on my Patreon page, patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. There's also hundreds of exclusive posts waiting for you over there. Can't wait to see you over there. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for notifications every time I upload a new slice of fried gold. And don't forget, as you go through this week, even the smallest act of kindness can make an incredible difference in somebody's life. So if you can reach out to somebody, help them out, do something good for them, I say do it to it. Well, guys, that's it for this week. Thanks so much for watching. I'm going to get away from here and start chopping this thing down for you guys. And as for you, I recommend grabbing your favorite rock guitar and getting to work on this legendary tune. Let's click it. More picking.